Everyone needs more storage, but you don't have to buy a bigger house to get it. This week on Today's Homeowner, we're digging in to 9 great storage solutions that can make your house feel bigger. So stay right here for some tips you can use. You know, one thing we can all agree on is the need for more storage around our homes, and we're about to tackle 9 different projects that will maximize the space you already have available. Now I'm working on a little project here in the workshop that will be a great storage solution for a bedroom, and I'll show you how that turns out in just a little while. But if you don't have a workshop or a garage or the time or maybe the skill to put together a little project like this, then you can just pick up the phone and call many of the specialty companies or a handyman service that can help you on your storage solutions. Or you can go to the home center and buy something that's already pre-made and install it in your home. That's a much more manageable project, and that's exactly what Alan and Jody are tackling right now.
Jody and I are kicking off the Storage Solution Show with the place where everybody needs some help, more space in the closet. Now, of course, you can get systems built for you by professionals. You can try it yourself. And actually, I'm going to learn a little bit today because Jody's done this quite a bit before. We're going to build a system. What do we got, Jody?
Well, actually, we went to the home improvement store the other day and we picked out a system just right off the shelf, which I love. Now, there are different types of styles that you can get, but the one that I like the best, it's just so easy to install, is a track system where you install the track along the top of the closet, and then you have standards, Alan, that hang down, and you can adjust those to varying widths. And then you can either put a hanging rod or you can put a shelf there to just kind of help you keep your clothes and things organized. I love them.
And we also picked up a system that's got some drawers that we can hang on the same standards, right?
Yep.
All right, well, let's get it started.
Okay, good.
Earlier, we removed the old shelf and hanging rod that were here so we could start from scratch. Now we're ready to open up the boxes for our new system so we can see what we have to work with. Now, even with a package system like this one, you'll need to do a little test fitting to determine exactly how you want the closet configured. And believe me, it's time well spent before you begin marking walls and drilling holes. Because having studs right where you need them is a hit or miss proposition at best, this system comes with a generous supply of toggle bolts which are mounted on the track before it goes on the wall. Now, in the odd location where we do actually hit a stud, we're using some long wood screws that are also provided. When the tracks are level and secure, you can begin laying out the vertical supports, or the standards. This positioning is important because the shelves have to end over a support, and you need one at least every 24 inches along its length. We're using a reciprocating saw to cut the shelves, but a hacksaw or bolt cutters would work just as well. When you're certain of the locations for the vertical supports, they're also secured to the wall with toggles or screws. We're adding the hardware at the bottom for the drawer unit before we move on to the upper shelves and hanging rods that mount beneath them. All in all, looks pretty good.
And there you have it. We've spent about $100, I think, on materials for the shelving, for the drawers, and of course about 2.5, 3 hours.
We did not, Alan. No, we did not.
Okay, we sang songs. We actually had it.
We did. We took a
made
break.
s'mores. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. But not too much effort, not too much time, not too much money, and you've really maximized the use of this closet space.
We really have, and the nice thing is this is a great beginner DIY project because it is so simple. We used very simple tools. We used a drill, we used a level, we used a recip saw where needed, but you may not even need to use that. You could use a hacksaw. And now we're just touching up the paint here, and voila!
It's done.
It looks great.
While Alan and Jody were tricking out that closet, I've been working on my storage solution. I'm using MDF, or medium density fiberboard, to build it. And this stuff is great for storage applications because it's fairly inexpensive but very strong. It has a smooth surface on both the face and the edge, so unlike plywood, there are no raw edges that have to be covered. This stuff is also great for customizing closets if you have some decent carpentry skills, because you can make shelves or cubbies any depth you like. Speaking of cubbies, they are a great addition not only for closets but also for laundry rooms. Storage tip number 2, add cubbies to a laundry room and make each one large enough to accommodate a laundry hamper. With several of these spaces, you can assign each member of your family their own hamper, or use them to separate the laundry by color and type of fabric before it goes into the wash. Now this is our number 3 storage solution, utilizing all the space you have available under the bed. Now recently I moved my daughter into her college dorm room, and everybody in the dorm was utilizing that space under the bed. Some people were even raising the bed up a little bit to even create more space. Now what I did in the shop is basically create just a shallow little box with casters on the bottom and a handle on the front that is customized for the space we have under the bed. That's one of the advantages of building it yourself, because you can buy these ready-made that are plastic, and usually clear plastic with the casters that you can use under the bed. And also we've even used some old drawers from a chest of drawers with wheels on it, and already had the handle on it. Could move it right in and out from underneath the bed. Now we could paint or stain this if you wanted to, but that's one of the advantages of it, because once you slide it under the bed, it disappears.
I'm always looking for effective ways to organize my workshop, and here's a system that's worked really well in the past. I went out and got a couple of these clear plastic boxes that are used for tackle, for fishing tackle, and I use them in the shop. Now here is a smaller one you see I'm using for fasteners, different screws and nails. What I really like about these boxes is that they come with these plastic dividers, and you can plug them in anywhere you want, so depending on the size of the fastener, you can customize the storage. Now the larger boxes I like for hand tools, and again they have the plastic dividers, so you can set the dividers wherever you need to accommodate the tools you're storing. This particular size box is perfect for longer items, because if you remove a divider, you can store something as long as 13 inches. And these boxes only cost anywhere from $4 to $5 a piece. The other advantage to this system is that it's clear, so you can see exactly what you have. You don't have to open it up to see. Some of them even have this little hanging system, so you can put it on the wall of your workshop. But what I really like is that they latch securely closed, so you can just close them up and take it with you.
This week we're looking at a number of very simple storage solutions, 9 to be exact, and we've already shown you 3. Now we're about to tackle the 4th solution here in this hot attic.
Now the problem with an attic, it's like that junk drawer in your house that gets everything thrown into it. The attic is like the junk drawer of your entire house. Take a look at all the stuff that's up here, and here's the problem. So often the stuff gets put everywhere, even where it shouldn't be. We had a lot of boxes on the ductwork here. Never a good idea.
And rarely do you have a vertical wall like this that you can build traditional shelving, so we're having to solve this problem by building a little shelf section here by hanging the shelf off the roof rafters.
And what we did was actually just create some L brackets out of 2x4s. We measured, got the right distance there, and again, just used a little bit of some drywall screws, putting into the rafters here, made sure it was level and plumb. And that got all the weight off our duct.
Makes it a lot easier if you have a reference point. So we used a chalk line to pop a line across the top part of this so that the top part of the brackets would all line up. That way when we put our shelf board in, everything works out really nice. Now we only have the 3 brackets up right now so that we could kind of wiggle our shelf board in. We're about to put up a couple more so that we can make sure that it'll support any of the weight we put on this.
While we finish up our attic shelf solution, why don't you take a look at Joe's number 5 storage tip that he recently shared with Danny.
We get a lot of emails wanting us to show more kitchen storage ideas. Joe's got a great one here.
The biggest challenge in any kitchen is how to store the lids for your pots and pans. Too often they simply get tossed into the cabinet, then you can never find the right lid for the pot you're using. My idea was to use a towel rack mounted on the back of the door to store the lids. All I did is I mounted one bracket to the back of the door, and then I held the second bracket in place so that I could mark the bar to length. Then I cut it with a hacksaw and used a piece of sandpaper to smooth off the edges. Now you just have to screw it to the back of the door. You can hold that for me.
Okay, sure.
And what you have to make sure you do is replace the screws that come with the bracket, because they come with 1 1¼ inch screws, which are too long. And these are 1-inch screws, which work perfect. And then you can just slip the lids right behind there, and the handles keep them from falling through.
Now I guess depending on the size of the door, you could actually put a second one down there for smaller lids.
Right, you can see this we actually could have raised up a little bit and would have allowed room for a second rack. But the most important thing is that the lids are neatly organized and you can just store them away.
The family room is another great place to maximize storage, and built-ins are the way to do it. An offset between 2 walls is a great place for a built-in, so the spaces on either side of this fireplace are ideal for a set of bookshelves and a corner entertainment center. The homeowner, Scott, starts building the bookshelves in small sections in his workshop. These sections, which are also made from the MDF material we used earlier, will be joined together later. The shelves and the dimensional lumber that will be used to trim them out are primed and painted before they head inside. The 2x4 bases attaching to the walls and floor will raise the shelves up and give them a toe kick area, making them look more like cabinetry than just standalone shelves. The individual shelf sections are set in place on top of the base, then attached to it, each other, and the wall studs. At this point, it still looks like a set of shelves, but when the pre-painted trim begins going in to cover the raw edges and frame the piece, it begins looking a lot more like cabinetry. The top helps an awful lot too. It's still just a piece of MDF which has a cove detail routed into the edge to match the adjacent mantel. The opposite side of the fireplace gets only one bookcase so that the remaining area can be used for a corner entertainment center. It will be built in place, starting with the toe kick to establish the footprint. From there, the sides and base are added, along with a central shelf for video and audio equipment. The work slows down here a little bit because all of the detail involved in matching the angles for the diagonal front of this section. The top is a bit more complex too because of the size, but eventually it all gets done and a final coat of paint goes on before a new set of doors are added to complete the cabinetry look and the project. The bookshelves provide plenty of room for family photos, knickknacks, and of course a few books. And the electronics cabinet, this large cabinet, plenty of room for all the equipment to keep everybody entertained, CDs, DVDs, and of course all those video games. Now, you know, the thing that's nice about this, of course, it has a very nice built-in look, and it actually takes up less floor space than the furniture that was here before, so it makes the room appear a little bit larger and definitely has improved the value of this home. Hey, Jody has a best new product this week that can really help you if you're thinking of a project like this.
We've seen a lot of new products come out lately to help with hanging pictures and putting up shelving. I'm talking about some really cool space-age, hands-free, shooting lasers, Buck Rogers type tools. But sometimes it's really the simple ideas that are the best. Take a look at this 36-inch Gecko Grip level from Black & Decker. You see these little orange pads on the back? These will grip the wall so you can level with just one hand and it won't leave any marks on the wall. But here's where the simplicity really shines. These marking targets slide, so you can align them with the mounts on the back of the picture you want to hang. Then place the level on the wall and mark the surface using the targets, and you'll be able to hang things with picture-perfect results every time. Now, here's the 24-inch model. It's got the same gripping pads, but look at this. It has a smaller torpedo level inside, and check this out. Inside the torpedo level is a stud sensor that will also detect wood or metal studs. Both these items do a really good job at giving a new meaning to level-headed ideas.
One area of the home that's always a problem in finding enough space for everything is the bathroom. Now, many of you may have a vanity like this bathroom does, and it does hold a lot of stuff, but if you use it for towel storage, it'll fill up really quick. So our number 7 storage solution is a toilet topper cabinet, readily available at home centers, or you can have Joe build you a custom one.
Thanks, Dave. This 2-shelf toilet topper I built out of 3/4-inch MDF, then I added a simple pine face frame. Now, the nice thing about building it yourself as opposed to buying one is the store-bought ones are typically only about 8 or 9 inches deep. This one's 12 inches deep, so you see there's plenty of room for full-size bath towels. Now, in the construction, I added 2 cleats to the back, and then that allows me to drive screws through the cleats and into the wall studs. And that's really important, that you drive screws into the studs so it's really secure and it won't come off the wall. Now, the other thing that's important to remember is when you're building with MDF in a bathroom, you have to paint all surfaces and all edges to seal out the moisture.
And the thing about this type of project too is that you can take your measurements, you can do all the work outside, prime and paint it, come right in, install it on the wall, and you've gotten that towel storage problem taken care of.
Now, this is a great idea if you have open storage, but sometimes in the bathroom you want lockable, secure storage.
At a trade show earlier this year, we found a new take on the medicine cabinet from the folks at Newtone. This one locks so that the contents are kept safe from those little hands. A built-in medicine cabinet is a great way to maximize space in the bathroom because it takes advantage of the vacant space between the studs and the wall, which would otherwise go unused. It's just the right size for small toiletries and other items you need to store in your bathroom, so it's a great solution. Like other medicine cabinets, it's designed to fit between existing studs, so installation is easy for new construction or renovation applications. And the locking feature makes it safe for the whole family.
Our number 9 storage idea is to create extra space using the area between your wall studs. And I've got a great idea that's going to help bring this 40-plus-year-old kitchen into the 21st century. What I'm building here is a cabinet to store cell phones and cell phone chargers. In this case, I'm using oak so I can stain it to match the paneling in the kitchen. Since a 2x4 is actually 3.5 inches wide, we know what the depth of our cabinet will be, and most wall studs are spaced on 16-inch centers, so we have about 14.5 inches to work with in between. So the only dimension to decide on is the height. The back, sides, and shelves will be made from plywood, while the solid oak I'm ripping will be used to trim out the front. Putting the body of the cabinet together goes pretty easy if you've measured and cut accurately, and this solid trim will create a lip around the front to cover the raw edge where we cut into the wall. And when the finished work is done, that's exactly what I'm ready to do. If this were drywall instead of paneling, we wouldn't even need the jigsaw, but even so, it's easy enough to rough out the opening. Since I'll need power from my chargers, I'm fishing a piece of wire down to an electrical box below to make my connections, with the breaker turned off, of course. Then I can connect it to the box that I've mounted on the underside of the cabinet and wire up the new outlet. When I'm sure it all fits and the whole thing is level, a few nails along the sides secure the cabinet in place. And the final touch is to screw in these little cup hooks, so you've got a place to hang your keys. Now, one final thought. Even when you aren't charging your phones, if your charger's plugged in, it's still drawing power. So install a surge protector instead and just turn it off when you're not charging those phones. It's a simple way to think green. Speaking of, let's do a little green thinking with Danny.
Paper or plastic? My answer is to get rid of all of these plastic bags. The EPA determined that between 500 billion and 1 trillion plastic bags are used and discarded every year, but less than 1% of them are recycled. The other 99% end up in landfills or they get dumped in the ocean. Plastic bags are made from polyethylene. That means if we reduce the production of plastic bags, we reduce our dependency on foreign oil. Now, cloth bags like these are available everywhere, and if just 1 person in 5 would start using a cloth bag for groceries, over 1.3 trillion bags would be saved. Many countries have already banned the use of these bags, and hopefully we'll follow suit soon. So on your next trip to the store, remember the rule of BYOB. Bring your own bag. In case you haven't been counting, we've covered all 9 storage solutions from all over the house. A closet makeover is always a hit, whether you hire a pro or you do it yourself. Adding cubbies to a laundry room makes storing and organizing hampers a snap, while using that space under the bed makes for quick, out-of-sight storage. Our attic shelving will organize some of the chaos upstairs, and Joe's tricks for the kitchen should smooth out some of those cooking chores. Allen's in-wall organizer is a great solution. And for far more secure storage, that locking medicine cabinet is the ticket. Or maybe you need some built-ins to show off the stuff you store. Okay, we've taken away all your excuses not to get organized around your house. You know, it never ceases to amaze me, all the different ideas there are to maximize all the space you have around your house to store all the stuff we seem to accumulate. Hey, thanks for being with us. Hope to see you next week here on Today's Homeowner. If money is tight, and it usually is, join us next week for some great ways to make it go farther while improving your home.